This is VOA News. I'm Joe Ramsey. Ukraine said on Sunday Russian troops were advancing in 4 areas in the east of the country amid quote-unquote fierce fighting, but reported its forces moving forward in the south. The latest developments on the battlefield came after Ukrainian officials said Russia launched its first overnight drone attack on the capital Kyiv in 12 days. Ukraine said all of the drones were downed. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warned on Sunday the quote-unquote enemy will not dictate the terms in the Black Sea. It comes as Zelensky said in an address from an unknown location, quote, the invaders will have to be afraid of us as approaching our Ukrainian Crimea and Azov Sea coast, as Russian ships are already afraid of approaching us on the Black Sea coast. Russia annexed the Crimean Peninsula on the Black Sea from Ukraine in 2014, but considers it to be an outside the scope of its special military operation in eastern and southern Ukraine. The grandmother of a French teenager shot dead by police during a traffic stop has urged rioters to stop as the nation braces for a 6th straight night of unrest. Authorities expressed outrage on Sunday after a burning car struck the home of the mayor of the Paris suburb and injured his wife and child. The grandmother of the 17-year-old told French broadcaster BFM TV she was angry at the officer who killed her grandson, but not at the police in general. She expressed faith in the justice system as France faces its worst social upheaval in years. Follow us online at voanews.com. This is VOA News. Israel has announced it'll buy dozens of fighter jets from the U.S., AP correspondent Karen Chamas reports.
He confirmed it will buy 25 F-35 aircraft from the United States. The deal will increase Israel's arsenal of the stealth fighter jets by 50%. The F-35 is the world's most advanced fighter jet, and Israel is the only country in the Middle East to fly them. The $3 billion purchase, which increases the Israeli fleet of F-35 jets from 50 to 75, is set to be finalized in the coming months, according to the Israeli military. I'm Karen Chamas.
Israel carried out airstrikes on areas near the central Syrian city of Homs, causing material damage but no casualties, the Syrian military said in a statement. A Syrian anti-aircraft missile exploded over Israeli territory, the Israeli military said, prompting another round of strikes early Sunday. Syrian state media quoted an unnamed military official as saying the air defenses shot down some of the missiles fired by Israeli warplanes flying over neighboring Lebanon. Israel, which has vowed to stop Iranian entrenchment in Syria, has carried out hundreds of strikes on targets in government-controlled parts of neighboring Syria in recent years, but rarely acknowledges them. There are more than a dozen candidates running for U.S. president next year, but only one of them is a woman. AP correspondent Jackie Quinn reports.
Women make up more than half of the U.S. population, but they've been underrepresented in public office. The only woman in the presidential race, former U.S. Ambassador Nikki Haley, who says,
personally, I think to save the country, we need to send a badass Republican woman to this White House.
In recent years, political groups have worked to get more women elected, but less than 1/3 of Congress and just 31% of statewide elected offices are held by female politicians. There are 12 women governors. I'm Jackie Quinn.
Attorneys general from 10 U.S. states plan to sue the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, saying its failure to review and ensure emissions standards for residential wood-burning stoves has allowed the continued sale of appliances that could worsen pollution. That means programs that encourage people to trade in older stoves and other wood-burning appliances, such as forced air furnaces, haven't necessarily improved air quality, the states say. You can always find more news on our website, voanews.com, or follow us on the VOA mobile app. I'm Joe Ramsey, VOA News. This is VOA News. I'm Joe Ramsey. Israeli forces hit the city of Jenin with drone strikes and troops on Monday as part of one of the biggest West Bank incursions in 20 years. At least 8 people were killed and more than 50 injured, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry. Reuters correspondent Lucy Fielder reports.
A deadly raid on the city of Jenin, one of the biggest Israeli operations in the occupied West Bank in 2 decades. Israel used drone strikes on Monday for only the second time since 2006. Hundreds of its troops were also involved in long gun battles. The Jenin Brigades, a unit made up of militant groups based in a crowded refugee camp, said it was engaging Israeli forces and had shot down one of the drones.
Reuters correspondent Lucy Fielder. The Ukrainian military released combat footage on Monday purportedly showing storming operations near Bakhmut. Ukraine said on Monday its troops had regained more ground along eastern and southern fronts in what President Volodymyr Zelensky described as progress in a quote-unquote difficult week for Kyiv's counteroffensive against Ukrainian forces. Turkey will not lift its opposition to Sweden joining NATO unless it stops harboring groups Turkey considers to be terrorists, President Tayyip Erdogan said on Monday. Sweden and Finland applied for NATO membership last year, ditching long-held policies of military non-alignment after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Applications for membership must be approved by all NATO members, but Turkey and Hungary have yet to clear Sweden's bid. Find more on our website, voanews.com, or download the VOA mobile app. This is VOA News. Indonesia's leader is on a 3-day trip to Australia, and despite the relative closeness of the countries, Indonesia is only Australia's 14th largest trading partner. From Sydney, Phil Mercer reports.
Andrew Hudson from the Centre for Policy Development, a research organisation, told the Australian Broadcasting Corporation there's great trading potential.
Indonesia's economy is forecast to become the 4th largest in the world and larger than Germany or UK in just 7 years. And yet Indonesia remains outside Australia's top 10 trading partners. It's obviously our largest neighbour. So I think there is a huge opportunity there.
Widodo will meet Prime Minister Albanese for talks Tuesday. Albanese will urge for progress on an upgraded defence deal with Indonesia. Phil Mercer for VOA News, Sydney.
Crowds gathered at town halls across France to show solidarity with local governments targeted in 6 nights of unrest touched off by the fatal police shooting of a 17-year-old. The riots, which seemed to be easing overnight into Monday, have been driven by a teenage backlash in the suburbs and urban housing projects against a French state that many young people with immigrant roots say routinely discriminates against them. Workers are picketing major Southern California hotels after walking off the job over the weekend. AP correspondent Mike Hempen reports.
The strike by bellhops, front desk agents, room attendants, cooks, servers, and dishwashers began in Los Angeles and Orange counties. Members of United Here Local 11 voted last month to authorize the strike. Along with improved wages, the union wants improved health care benefits, higher pension contributions, and less strenuous workloads. A coalition of more than 40 hotels involved in the talks accuses union leaders of canceling a scheduled bargaining session and refusing to come to the table. The strike affects about 16,000 workers. I'm Mike Hempen.
A shooting at a holiday block party in the U.S. eastern city of Baltimore in the state of Maryland over the weekend that left 2 people dead and 28 injured highlights a sustained surge in mass shootings in the United States since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. As of Monday, 340 mass shootings have taken place across the country so far this year. At that pace, the United States will experience 679 mass shootings in 2023, the second most in a calendar year since 2014, according to the Gun Violence Archive. Find more on our website, including the podcasts Flashpoint Ukraine and Flashpoint Iran at voanews.com. I'm Joe Ramsey, VOA News.